Welcome to Yellow Dog News. I'm Yellow Dog, your number one news hound. Stay tuned for current headline news. Here's my co-host and my number one belly scratcher. You're up, babe.
And I'm Pawsy Pawsley. I'm the voice of reason in this crazy dog-eat-dog world. Take it away, Yellow Dog.
In streaming news, Netflix's movie, Leave the World Behind, with Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke, unleashes a nightmarish scenario where technology goes to the dogs, causing societal chaos. Produced by the Obama's company Higher Ground, this film sniffs out the fragility of our tech-reliant world. Depicting a society where the leash of technology breaks, leading to a fight for survival. It's a howling reminder of how dependent we've become on our digital companions. Next, as humans paw their way to the moon, a howling debate emerges between those wanting to dig up lunar resources and conservationists barking about protecting scientific sites. International rivalries add another layer of complexity. NASA's moon mission faces growls of criticism for potentially disturbing craters that are valuable for science and colonization. It's a cosmic tug-of-war highlighting the need for global cooperation in space exploration.
I can see Elon going to the moon and declaring himself king. That would be so cool. But on a serious note, they do need to be careful if they industrialize the moon.
In his first 2024 campaign bark, President Joe Biden claimed he attended funerals of police officers linked to January 6th events, but this statement seems to have no bite. No officers were reported killed that day, with Officer Brian Sicknick passing away from a stroke the next day. The connection between January 6th protests and later police suicides remains a far-fetched tale. The media's failure to sniff out the truth in Biden's remarks has been criticized. In finance, J.P. Morgan's top dog strategist, Michael Symbolist, predicts President Joe Biden might fetch a replacement from the 2024 presidential race due to health concerns. This snippet of Symbolist's report unleashes various predictions, including the possibility of the Democratic National Committee sniffing out a new candidate. Biden's health and approval ratings are at the heart of this speculation, stirring the political kennel as the election race heats up.
I don't see Joe Biden going anywhere as long as he can still read what Obama has written for him when he is in front of the camera and not eating ice cream on the beach.
Rumors are swirling that if Ron DeSantis loses to Donald Trump in the Iowa caucus dogfight, he might roll over and exit the presidential race. Despite his campaign's bark of denial, Trump's lead in the pack and key GOP endorsements could lead DeSantis to tuck tail after Iowa, marking a pivotal moment in the Republican primary chase.
I wish DeSantis would have been more patient and waited until 2028 to run, but it was a good practice run. I hope Trump wins and acts like he did on The Apprentice. Say to all the corrupt appointees you're fired. If he cleans house, then DeSantis can get stuff done over the next 8 years.
In the investigation of the January 6th Capitol attack, Special Counsel Jack Smith's team revealed that former President Trump was indifferent to the violence, based on testimonies from his close aides, including Dan Scavino. Trump reportedly did not act to stop the riot or protect then Vice President Mike Pence, highlighting a lack of response during the critical events of that day.
Trump did not act to stop them? That would have been the job of the National Guard. Oh right, Nancy Pelosi refused to allow Trump to send them there for security. Don't get me started.
Be calm. House conservatives are barking up concerns about Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican Louisiana, feeling pissed he screwed Americans because the $1.658 trillion spending deal lacks bite on key issues like border security, leading to concerns he's on a leash to rhino Republicans and Obama.
You know, Yellow Dog, I'm concerned. Mike Johnson is a Bible-thumping Christian, so my concern is they may have gotten some dirt on him. They say they have sex orgies just to blackmail them. If that's the case, him being a Christian and all, they have him by the balls.
Ouch, that sounds painful. In a recent bark of war, Hezbollah's drone strike on an Israeli base had little bite. Israel's counter-bite via airstrike led to Ali Hussein Barji being put down. He was a key Hezbollah alpha dog in drone attacks, marking a new leash of tension along the Israel-Lebanon border. In finance, The World Bank forecasts a global economic slowdown, projecting the worst half-decade growth in 30 years. Global growth is expected to fall to 2.4% in 2024 before rebounding to 2.7% in 2025. Key concerns include geopolitical tensions and their impact on energy prices and inflation. The bank stresses the need for policy changes to avoid a decade of wasted opportunity, noting that 2023's growth forecast is sharply reduced to 1.7%.
I am no financial genius, but bumbling Biden undid everything Trump did to produce a free economy. Biden brought back regulation that shut companies down. Unemployment is high if you count all eligible workers. 70% of people are struggling. My sisters voted for Biden. They are stupid.
Despite the White House touting the success of Bidenomics, many Americans remain negative about their economic prospects. This gap between official optimism and public sentiment is attributed by some, including President Biden, to negative media coverage. However, factors like high inflation, increased interest rates, and affordability challenges provide a contrasting, more challenging economic reality. Recent polls show only a small percentage of Americans expect the economy to improve, highlighting the disconnect between public perception and official narratives. Oh man, I want to sniff her big butt. Michelle Obama expressed fears about the 2024 presidential election's outcome and its impact on democracy in a recent podcast. Her concerns align with Barack Obama's doubts about Biden's re-election chances and Trump's likely Republican nomination. She emphasized the importance of mature, responsible leadership over divisive rhetoric.
I better not catch you sniffing anybody's butt but mine.
In Ukraine's counteroffensive against Russian forces, the envisioned quick victory turned into a dire struggle due to limited armaments and strong Russian defenses. Ukrainian units, including Captain Anatoly Karchenko's, faced intense combat and heavy casualties. The operation underscored Ukraine's need for advanced military support, particularly modern fighter jets, which the U.S. and allies hesitated to provide. As the conflict enters its third year, Ukraine faces the challenge of adapting its strategy against a heavily armed opponent, while grappling with significant troop losses.
You know the war is lost. Zelensky is a puppet of the West and he won't back down. He suffers from little man syndrome because he is so short. Have you ever been pulled over by a short highway patrolman? If you have, you know what I am talking about.
In health news, the food industry is contending with the growing concern over ultra-processed foods, which include common packaged items like frozen pizza and chips. This category is under global scrutiny due to health risks. The U.S. government's potential inclusion of guidelines on these foods in dietary recommendations has prompted industry lobbying. Companies argue that processing ensures food safety and affordability, and warn that a focus on processing might overshadow the nutritional content. The term ultra-processed risks becoming synonymous with unhealthy, which could significantly impact consumer choices and future government policies.
Ultra-processed food is unhealthy. Food manufactured in a refinery is not natural. The way I look at it is, if God made it, it is healthy. If man made it, it is all about profit.
A recent MWR strategy survey indicates that climate change, a major focus of President Joe Biden, is not a primary concern for most swing state voters. Only 3% see it as the most pressing issue, overshadowed by the economy and inflation, which 59% prioritize. The survey also reveals a low willingness to pay for climate initiatives, with a median of $10 and 35% unwilling to pay anything. Additionally, 51% oppose an energy tax on imported goods, highlighting economic concerns over environmental policies.
Oh my God! I know you believe it, yellow dog, but thinking that we can change the climate is a bunch of dog shit. If you have an increase in CO2, you have an excess of plant growth. They convert the excess CO2 into oxygen and we have bigger crop yields. It is a design that balances itself.
From New York, nearly 2,000 migrants were relocated to James Madison High School in Brooklyn from Floyd Bennett Field due to a major storm, leading to the temporary shift of students to remote learning. The sudden move sparked concerns among local residents and officials. including New York Councilwoman Inna Vernikov, who questioned the use of public schools for migrant housing and suggested alternatives like Gracie Mansion. The relocation highlights the challenges in managing migrant housing during severe weather conditions. We will close with a Trump story. At a D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals hearing, President Trump's attorney argued for his immunity from federal prosecution for presidential actions. The panel, including judges appointed by Biden and Bush, questioned the extent of this immunity. Well, that's it for the news. I'm Yellow Dog.
And I'm Pawsy Pawsley. We need your help. Our producer is a real old fart who has 2 jobs and recently went back to college as a requirement for one of his jobs. He falls asleep in his recliner working on our show. So, you can help by spreading the word about our show. He needs motivation.